In today's lecture, we are going to study an essay, How Should One Read a Book, written by Virginia Woolf. In the earlier lectures, we have gone through how we should write the essays, Making Writing Simple by J.B. Priestley, and On Style by Jonathan Swift. In the present essay, we come to know in what manner we should read a book. It was written by Virginia Woolf. She wrote, I quote, I thought how unpleasant it is to be locked out, and I thought how it is worse, perhaps to be locked in, unquote. See in what manner she is talking about the condition of writing. She, and next we come to the quotation given by Virginia Woolf. I quote, how much better is silence, the coffee cup, the table, how much better to sit by myself like the solitary seabird that open its wings on the stake. Let me out how flowers with bare things, this coffee cup, this kettle, this fork, things in themselves, myself being myself, and unquote. That was a quotation given by Virginia Woolf. She was born on 25th January 1882. She passed away on 28 March 1941. She wrote many novels. She enriched literature with her novels. The first novel, The Voyage Out, that was published in 1915. The another novel, Night and Day, that appeared in 1919. It was the time of First World War, and Jacob's Room was published in 1922, and To the Lighthouse that was published in 1927. She was the modern writer of the 20th century, and she published many books, and she also applied the technique of stream consciousness style in his writings in her compositions. Once E.M. Foster commented about her, I quote, she liked writing with an intensity which few writers have attained or even desired, unquote. She is a prose writer of the high watermark. We see the flashes of beauty and charm are in his works. She seems to be a word painter in her composition. Really, her writing is very famous, and we can see that she writes as if she has painted a picture in her books. And now this is the essay. Essay, how one should read a book. It begins with the question mark. The question mark that in what manner we should read a book. She advises about reading the book that one should take no advice at the time of reading a book. She further says, I quote, to follow your own instinct, to use your own reason, to come your own conclusion. She is of the view that when we go to any book, one should not take the advice of this person or that person. We should read book by our own choice, by our own liberty. Uh, she says it is a matter of choice, it is a matter of liberty, that she feels at liberty to forward a few ideas and suggestions about the reading of a book. That's why she says, she suggests that it is a matter of choice, it is a matter of liberty. And what laws can be laid down about reading of books? She wants to say that the laws cannot be made down for reading the books. Basically, it is a matter of personal choice. It is a matter of persons, a matter of liking and disliking. She says, I quote, the Battle of Waterloo was certain. It was fought on a certain day. These are the historical facts. We cannot change the dates of the wars and the incidents. But when we discuss about a literary work, we cannot decide that which is better and which is worse. As we cannot say, is Hamlet is a better play than Lear? Nobody can say. Actually, it is a matter of choice. There are so many persons who like the play Hamlet. There are so many persons who like the play King Lear. It is a matter of choice. It differs from taste to taste. That's why she says that one should not take the advice of the other persons of regarding the books. She rejects the authorities who suggest what to read and how to read. See, it was the opinion of the writer that we should not follow the advice of this person or that person. We should not follow the authorities that this book is better or this book is worse. She rejects the complete idea and says we should not follow the preconception about the certain books. She further adds, I quote, what a value to place upon what we read is to destroy the spirit of freedom, which is the breath of those centuries, unquote. Suppose someone says, okay, this book is a fine book, you must read this book. In the opinion of the writer, that to suggest book, it means we are spoiling, we are destroying the very spirit of the freedom. We fail to choose the book of our own choice. We are going to read that book on the advice of the other person. Means we are breaking our freedom, we are losing our freedom, we are spoiling our freedom. That is why it is the suggestion of the writer that we should not follow the writer. We have to choose book on the spirit of the freedom, whatever we like, whatever we prefer. Definitely, our social life is bound to by certain laws, but in case of reading, we have none. Definitely, we are the social animals, as Aristotle has said, and we have to follow the certain laws when we live in the society. But when we read the book, writer says there is no rule, there is no guidelines regarding the book of type, this type or that type. She is of the view, I quote, we must not squander our powers helplessly and ignorantly, squirting half the house in order to water a single rose bush, unquote. See, what does she wants to say? That we should not waste our powers helplessly and ignorantly. Sometimes we are not aware about the kind of book and we go to the bad book and we are wasting our time. We are wasting our powers of reading. We are wasting our energy. That is why writer says that we must not waste our time in choosing the certain books. Squirting half the house means making the wet in order to water a single rose bush. Means if you are going to choose a certain book, we must not spoil the time. We should not desert our time. Rather, we should prefer a fine book on the basis of our own choice. We must train our mind and reading speed on the very spot. Suppose we go to the library. Okay. In the library, when we go to the library, we find that there is a certain type of books. There are books of history, there are books of poetry, there are novels are there, there are books of different historians, there are certain books of races, there are certain books of ages, and certain books are put together in the library. And we have to choose the book on the spot, that which book is suitable to your mind, to your thinking, to your liking. Writer passes the comment, beautiful comments, that inside the library there are so many books of different time, different ages, different type. Outside the donkey breeds. Donkey means the people who suggest this book, that you should go to this book and you should read at the book. And she further says the women gossip at the pump, the colts gallop across the fields, and these are the activities which are going without even any disturbance. Means a writer wants to say that we should not be disturbed by the suggestions of the other writer. The other activities of the world are going on without any disturbance. The question arises, how are we to bring order into the multitudinous chaos and get the best and wisest pleasure from what we read? Very important question. That there are different type of books of different style, different order, different writers, a large number of books. Now depends on choice in what manner we are going to take the best and widest pleasure of the selection of our books. Definitely, it is a matter of choice. It is a matter of liberty. It is our matter of freedom in what manner we are going to choose the best book. Writer says, since books have classes, no doubt, there are fiction books, there are biography, poetry, We should separate as what can give us right way. Different type of books. Now we have to choose that which is the best book. The 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 book of poetry is best, or the book of fiction is best, or biography is best, and we have to separate all these sections. Then people suggest that the usage and misuse of certain books, misusage of books, that most commonly people say that books with blurred and divided minds, asking of fiction, it shall be true, of poetry, it shall be false, of biography, it shall be flattering, of history, it shall enforce our own prejudices. That is why the writers say that different people would suggest different opinion. That if you go to the poetry, we would get the false knowledge. If we go to the history, we would get that type of knowledge. She is of the view, writer is of the view that we should banish all the preconceptions which we have in the beginning. We should not have any preconception, pre-idea of that book, that this book is good or this book is bad. We should not take the opinion of the other persons. It would be admirable beginning. If we begin a book without any suggestion, without any preview, without any pre-idea, writer says that it is an admirable beginning, it is a good beginning. She says, I quote, do not dictate to your author, try to become him, unquote. A beautiful quotation. The essence of reading a book in what man means, do not dictate to your author that what he wants from you. Writer suggests that you should try to become him. What does writer wants you? You should take the idea from that book. In what man the writer is trying to say, you must read the circumstances, we must go back to his biography, we must go to the history, we must go to the background of the writer. That's why try to become him. Writer suggests, be his fellow worker and accomplice. Fine advice that one should go to the book, try to become with the writer, to follow the writer, become his fellow worker in what manner the writer is thinking. We should think on the same guideline and accomplish, follow the way in which he has taken the views. If someone criticizes, it means that he is deprived to get the fullest possible value and pleasure from that work. Open mind as widely as possible. Writer says that when we start reading of a book, we should not criticize this thing or that thing, style of the writer, language of the writer, man of the writer. No, she suggests, go to the book with an open mind, as widely as possible. Our ideas should be open, our mind should be open, our mind should not be biased by any advice, our mind should not be deserted by any rough kind of suggestion. She comes to this conclusion, I quote, steep yourself in the work of the writer. Acquaint yourself with the work of the writer. Soon you will find that your author is giving you attempting to give you something more definite. Means when you go to any book, the purpose for which you are reading that book, we try to understand what the author is going to say, what the author is given to us. In the same manner, we are trying to attempt to give the same idea to the writer, and we are getting the full pleasure, we are getting the definite pleasure out of that work. The main ideas of the essay is that there are certain devices of a good reading book. She says that it depends on your taste of reading. What is your taste? Your taste should not be biased. Your taste should not be biased by suggestion and by authorities. That's why the writer says, do not follow the advice or suggestions. Maintain the spirit of the choice or freedom. She suggests that while you choose a book, maintain the spirit of freedom of your liberty in what manner you are going to read that book. Try to become with the mood of the author. Try to become the author. Means in what manner the author has written, try to get the full pleasure from that work. She suggests that one should directly descend into the mind of the author as how he has conceived the ideas and the circumstances. In the same line, we should try to consider the ideas and circumstances. At that stage, you will be able to get the full and definite pleasure out of the reading of the book, and that is the suggestion of the writer in what manner we should read a book. There are certain questions for the sake of the examination. Uh, uh, First question, what advice can one person give to another regarding reading? Second question, is reading bound by conventions? If not, why? Third question, how can one enjoy freedom in reading? Fourth question, what would be the admirable beginning according to the writer? Fifth question, how can a reader get more and more utility from an author's work? These are the five questions. It means we have to take the main idea of the essay, that we have to write, that it is a matter of choice, it is a matter of liberty. We should not be guided by any principles, by any authorities. Okay, incidents of the history are booked for certain days, but the works of literature are based on feelings, are based on our freedom, based on our thinking. That's why we should take the full pleasure while we go to the book. We should directly descend into the mind of the author, try to become him. That is the fine suggestion given by Virginia Woolf in her essays. Thanks.